Greetings, Commanders, and welcome back to Elite Dangerous Deep Space Carrier Series. We are continuing to make our slow, windy way towards Colonia in our fleet carrier. This week we're in the Courier. I wasn't sure if we can go ahead and just make our jump to the next system. This week we're in the Courier. I'm trying to take out a different ship every week just to kind of keep it fresh a little bit. We're trying to get to we're trying to get to our next destination for our weekly live stream, which will be happening again at 6 p.m. Pacific time on Sunday. So be sure to come and hang out with us as we do that. Before we get too far into the video, I always got to remember to do this. Help us reach our next channel milestone of 10,000 subscribers by clicking that subscribe button. Number doesn't go up unless you actually press the button, so do that now. Hit the like button to help spread the video out to more people. Help spread the video out to more people so that they have a chance to subscribe as well. And then we also have more than 1,600 videos on the channel of various different games. I play a bunch of different stuff, so there's going to be something for you, and it's organized in a nice, neat little playlist to make it easy for you to find whatever it is that you're looking for. So after you're done watching this video, head over to the channel itself and go find something to watch. Let me get out of the heat here. That was stupid. As we start busting up our ship with the heat. So let's see if there's anything here. I don't necessarily want to spend the whole episode talking about it, but I just finished 2 episodes of Star Trucker, trying to prepare for my weekend. And after I finished I ran into some issues that I'm not sure I can actually recover from. Outside of just basic things like they don't have the ability to change your keybinds, which means that I'm having to use keys that I normally associate with vertical thrust for the forward and backwards motion, which is very hard to do because I come back to this game and it's the way I like it to be. Outside of little things like that, the overall feeling that I'm getting from the game so far is that it's the feeling that I get that I have with the F-18 flight school campaign that I have right now. I'd love to publish it. It's sort of ready to go, but I haven't been able to go back and do all of the remaining QC stuff that needs to be done to be sure that I'm putting out a quality product, right? Like, it's done, it's playable, but it probably has a lot of problems that need to be addressed, and I need to spend the time to actually go through it and like do all the little attention to detail stuff to make sure that there's nothing game-breaking or difficult to deal with in it, right? And that's going to take a bunch of hours to sit down for me to go do that, and I haven't felt like doing it, and I also don't have a decent head tracking solution, and that's been kind of holding me back from finishing it. I feel that this is just a feeling I have based off of my experience so far in the few episodes I've done in the game. But I feel like that's the same kind of situation, but they chose to just forge ahead and publish anyway. Like, the game is done-ish, but it's got problems that should have been addressed before release, and they were just in a hurry to start making some money, so they published the game, and it's got problems that they should have addressed in the early access phase, or in the demo phase, or in the whatever phase it was. Like, I guess it was just a demo that we played before. But the point I'm trying to make is that they decided, you know what, it's good enough to publish, let's publish it now. But it wasn't good enough to publish. It's got some problems that should have been addressed before they decided to sell the game. And, I mean, that bothers me. Like, that's like, why would you do that? Why would you... Glaring issues such as obviously the inability to change your keybind, like, that's a basic function that any space sim related thing should have at the start. Like, that's not something you should have to wait on after the release. That's just basic video game stuff. Like, I'm sorry, I don't really have a lot of patience for that. But outside of that, it's just the fact that a lot of the information that you need is not easily available. Like, certain power systems, well, first and foremost, the basic premise that you have to replace batteries on your ship is kind of dumb to me. You have this powerful engine that's moving your ship around, and any ship is going to have connected systems, and you're not going to have to replace batteries to make that stuff work. It sounds like a gameplay mechanic that they decided, hey, this would be a kind of a cool mechanic to have to, regularly stop and deal with these things on your ship, and it's like, I understand your desire to add mechanics to your game, but there has to be some logical thought behind it, and that doesn't make sense to me. Like, I can understand things breaking and you have to repair them, but I shouldn't have to stock up on batteries to make basic systems on my ship work. That's kind of stupid. Why is my Am I not? Oh, because I wasn't in the thing. How did I get off my window? So, you know, I know that this is an Elite Dangerous video, and I'm turning this into a review of Star Trucker, but I'm just, like, I'm still kind of annoyed about it. Like, you remember when I said, or I don't know, I think I said it in the video, those of you who haven't watched the Star Trucker videos, I said I was leery about spending 20 bucks on the game because I didn't know if it was going to be worth the 20 bucks. And I'm like, it kind of, like with the issues that I'm running into, it's kind of not. It's kind of not worth the 20 bucks that I spent on it. Because just basic, like, I'm not necessarily trying to turn this into a review for Star Trucker. It's not the purpose here. The purpose here is just to cover some basic philosophies of how things should be, and a lot of times they're not, because we live in a world now where people don't take a lot of pride in what they're doing. And I'm not saying that the developers don't take pride in their game, but it feels like the further forward in time we go, the further the goalpost of minimum acceptable condition for things becomes. Like, how do I say this? I believe that the developers want to produce a quality product, and I feel like, you know, especially from a visual perspective, the game looks nice. I think the concept of the game is really cool. I think it could be a really great game, but I don't think that the time has been put in to make it a great game. At least that's my feeling so far. And granted, I haven't really put very much time into it yet, but at the same time, I also live by the philosophy of first impressions matter, and if your game is turning me off within the first couple of hours, that doesn't really encourage me to want to play anymore. Because if I'm having to fight your game to play it, then I don't want to play it anymore. So, you know, my thought process on it is, if you're going to release something to the public, you need to make sure that it meets a certain minimum level of competency, quality, content. You know, it needs to have certain things that gamers have come to expect as default things. And one of those things is I shouldn't have to figure out on my own how to make things on your truck work, on your space truck work. The manual that they include does not, at least as far as I can tell, does not provide instructions on how to fix certain things. So, for example, there's these batteries that you have to replace. Some of the systems, like the oxygen system and your suit and all that stuff, like I understand the suit. The suit should absolutely have some kind of a battery system. But we're just going to move on to the next system. Like your oxygen system requires a battery to power it. That's just dumb to begin with. But the system does not provide you with a list of things that are battery powered that you have to replace. Like the manual does not provide you a list of things that you have to replace, at least as far as I could see. And it does not provide you their location either. And the problem I have is that I was able to find the air filters and the oxygen battery and controller, the suit battery and controller, the gravity battery controller, which I struggled to find during the demo, but I did eventually find it, you know, weeks ago when we did that. But there's another thing on there that's just core power, which apparently I'm guessing needs a battery, which is, again, kind of stupid. Either that or I just don't understand what they mean by core power. And again, that's a problem. That's the problem with the developer not explaining or not putting something in the system to make it clear what that means. Like, what do the gauges of core power actually mean? There's no list in the manual about core power, so I can't easily find that information. So unless the expectation is that I'm supposed to click through every page, like maybe it's buried somewhere in the information, I don't want to have to go reading through the entire manual to find one thing that I'm trying to find, right? Like, no, that's ridiculous. Nobody wants to have to sit there and read an entire book to find a specific piece of information. That's unreasonable. So, you know, the problem that I ran into is that we ran out of oxygen because obviously, like, I take ownership of that. I should have been paying attention to the oxygen gauge. Sort of. I mean, that's probably going to be fumaroles again, but we need money. I want to try to make at least enough to keep up with our... Ooh. All right. So we'll be doing a little bit of exobiology in this system. We got a few things to go grab. And they're all in the same spot, so that's good. So was it this one? I think we'll go get this guy. Where is it? Let's get ourselves turned off. Sorry, I gotta focus on the Super Cruise thing here. 44. Super Cruise assist the rest of the way in. It's just there are several things about the game that just some of it's personal preference, like the fact that there's no lateral thrusters, vertical thrusters. It's all just point and go. I don't, as somebody, obviously I play this game, so obviously I expect there to be a certain amount of control that game just does not provide. But that's ultimately a personal opinion thing that, you know, I would prefer it to be that way. Some of the problems that the game have are just objective failures that feel like they are there, that feel like they're issues because they were in a hurry to get their game out so they could start making some money, and they didn't do due diligence on their quality control to make sure that the game is as easily playable as possible. Or maybe the developers have a design philosophy that you just need to figure it out yourself, and if that's their philosophy, then I wish that they had made that. I wish that had been something that was clear up front, and I would not have purchased the game, because I don't like playing games that have the philosophy of we're just gonna arbitrarily make this difficult because we think that things should be difficult. I don't subscribe to that philosophy. I believe in the idea that if you're gonna make something, you should make it as user-friendly as possible. Everything in our life should be as user-friendly as possible. Users, the end user, should not have to do any more than is absolutely necessary. Period. Like, that's my personal philosophy. Anytime I've ever designed some kind of software for anything, my design philosophy was, I don't want the user to have to think to use this. I just want them to be able to use it in an intuitive way so that, you know, they don't have to think about it, and they're able to spend their time getting things done rather than having to figure out how to use this software that I designed that should have been intuitive in the first place. And I believe that video games should be the same way. It should be, we are designing this in a way that makes it so that the average person should never have to think about how these things work. It's set up in a way that makes it very obvious that this is what you're supposed to do. And the game so far does not appear to have subscribed to that design philosophy. And I strongly, strongly, strongly disagree with anybody who has the philosophy that you should just have to figure it out. It's not on the developer to make this game easy for you to play. I completely disagree with that thought process. And this is coming from somebody who has spent many hours designing certain software systems, software things. I'm not a programmer or anything, but I have done a little bit of software development, and I spent a lot of time trying to make sure that the interfaces and stuff that I developed were as user-friendly as possible, because I didn't want the people that were going to be using the system that I was making to have to figure things out. They need to be able to step in and with minimal instruction be able to just do stuff. And if you're going to make a complex game, you need to make sure that it's documented well enough that people are able to quickly find the information that they need to do whatever it is you're expecting them to do. So, yeah. My my experience with Star Trekker so far, I'm not having a good time with it. I was really, and it's disappointing because I was really looking forward to the concept of it, like space, trucking in space, you know, drive around, move loads, stuff like that. It's a cool concept, and I really like the idea of it. But it's just, and like I said, I can only go based off of what my intuition is telling me. I have no idea what the designer's actual philosophy is. I don't know. I'm just telling you that the product that I have been presented with feels like they were like, you know what, it's close enough. Let's get it out there, and then we'll fix any further issues with patches later. And it's like, you know, I understand that every game's going to have issues, but the issues that it has are issues that are not new issues that no other developer has encountered before. These are things that most developers have on their final QC checklist to make sure that they're done and ready to go before they ship their product. Like, it should be. These are things that should be standard. There should not be, oh, man, you know, hey, we don't have time to fix. No, this is a basic core function of your product that should be there. You know, like, tutorials on, like, if they want me to replace things on my ship, then there needs to be a tutorial that it either needs to be in the manual that clearly shows me what I need to do to fix this thing, or it needs to be a tutorial that there needs to be like a walk around of the ship that tells walk around of the truck that tells me where all of these things are that I need to fix, or something. There needs to be something that, because I looked all around every surface of the entire interior of the truck, and I could not find anything that said core power on it. So what is it you're expecting me to do? Why is that gauge going down? Why is that gauge going down, right? And then what happens when it goes all the way down? Like, come on, man. Like, seriously. I'm sorry that I'm saying like a lot. I get like that when I get kind of frustrated. Mostly, I guess I'm disappointed because I was hoping that the game was going to be... I was hoping that it was going to actually be a crossover between, like, Elite Dangerous and the American/Euro Truck Simulator, where you have a truck and you're doing loads. Oh, wait, why did I hop into here? Why did I do that? I think there was a bacterial thing over there, which we might as well grab since we're on the ground. Was there one? I thought I saw one. No, there it is. I was like, I knew I saw one. Anyways, I was expecting it to be that. I know this episode has turned into Star Trekker episode, but I can't help it. I have to have something to talk about, and when I get on a tangent about something, I end up talking about it for 20 minutes. But it's I think part of it is because I feel like it was one of those things where they decided it was close enough. It kind of offends me because I have a I have an F-18 flight campaign that if I had that same design philosophy, I could publish it right now, probably sell a few copies before people are like, man, this is bullshit. You know what I mean? Like, I don't understand. I do. I guess I do. I do understand the desire to hurry up and get your product out and get it to start making money and all of that. But what people don't think about are the long-term consequences of that. Because from my understanding is that the game only has a couple of developers, and, you know, I guess they're a small studio or something like that, and they, you know, they're trying to make a name for themselves. They're trying to put a game out there, and all they did by putting the product out the way it is make it so that the next time I see a game from them, I'm going to be like, well, I remember the experience I had with Star Trekker, and I better wait a while before pulling the trigger on this game because the other game that I saw from them sucked. It sucked. And they had to spend 6 months fixing problems that should have been fixed before they shipped the game. So, I mean, I know this game is the focus of my conversation, but there is an overarching separate topic that I'm trying to get to, which is you need to make sure that the things that you're doing in your life are good. Like, you shouldn't put things out into the world that aren't reasonably good. I'm not saying you should be going after perfection, because I certainly don't go after perfection. Nothing I do is perfect, and I don't even try to be perfect. And there is a certain point at which I will stop working on something because I've decided that it's good enough. But your level of good enough really needs to be at a point where most people are going to say, okay, good. You know, like, your level of good enough can't be so subjective that you say it's good enough and then you start selling a product and people say this sucks. There has to be a minimum level that is accepted by a community of people. And you kind of have to keep that in mind whenever you're deciding to participate in something. Because especially when you're dealing with gamers, and especially when you're trying to cater to a community of people, because who was this game designed for? Was it designed for an average casual gamer? Like an average video gamer who just plays random crap? No, it's designed for people who are into space. And who plays space games? People who play space sims. People who play games like Elite Dangerous. People who play games like Star Citizen and all the other ones out there. None of those people are going to be accepting of your game when it has basic functionality flaws that should have been dealt with. So, like, I'm trying not to repeat myself too much. The point I'm trying to make is that if you're going to put something out into the world, it needs to meet a certain minimum threshold. It needs to meet a certain minimum threshold. Your personal opinion about something as the creator of the product does not matter at all. It doesn't matter. How much time and effort you put into something doesn't matter. The person playing the game doesn't care whether it took you an hour or 100 hours to do whatever it is that you put out. We don't care. I want to play a game and I want it to work, and I don't want to have to struggle with it. And most people don't want to have to struggle with it. So if you're going to put out I don't remember what the third thing was. I think we got all these Tussock, right? There was Tussock. Oh, there was some Frutexa, and I haven't seen any Frutexa. So we're going to go ahead and get out of here and find the other one. 3, that one has 2, so we'll head over to this one. So this. Whoa! That's super frustrating. That is super frustrating. It went from I'm waiting to see an indication that I need to turn it off to we way overshot it already. It's either all or nothing with this stupid thing. All right, let's get that done. And that, this is a good point right here. This kind of ties in with my whole thing. Like, I understand that there is a portion of the gaming community that values difficulty. They value having challenges to overcome. They value having something to where they can brag about accomplishing this or accomplishing that or whatever. But at the same time, there's a lot of us who just want to play the game and enjoy it, and we're just looking for a way to spend our time in a way that is fun. And for most of us, for most gamers, it's not trying to fight people or any of that stuff that's competitive. It's, I just want to feel like I'm playing a space game. And I don't want to have a bunch of frustration. I have enough frustration in my life in general. The whole point of playing a video game for me is to escape from all of that and just spend a few hours enjoying something. I don't want to fight systems. I don't want to fight a game. I don't want to fight things. I don't want to have to research things. I don't want to have to figure things out. I get enough of that in my real life. I do want things handed to me when I'm playing a video game. And then the hard stuff should be optional things that I can do if I want. Right? So the SCO thing here that I'm just talking about, they set it up in a way that you can't... Let's see, how do I want to say this? I understand that the intent was to make it so that you could travel distances faster, and as compensation for that, they made it difficult to control. It uses a lot of fuel, and you have to be careful about how you when you turn it off so that you don't overshoot or whatever like that. I can understand crap. Okay. Or landing, like landing here. Why? I should. I don't want to repeat a bunch of things I've said in previous episodes. The point I'm trying to get to with all of the things that I'm saying right now is that for most people, video games are an escape from real life. We are not playing these games to be challenged. We are not playing these games to feel a sense of accomplishment. Like, not really. Like, it's nice to have some feelings of accomplishment. And some people, and I'm not saying that that's everybody, but I'm saying that the people for whom accomplishment is a reason they do these games, the portion of the community that's like that is the minority. Most people are not hopping into video games because they want to impress people. They're hopping into video games because they want to have a little bit of fun before they have to go back to the daily grind of life. And too many developers have this idea in their heads that their game is the thing we care about. And it's like, it's not, man. It's really not. It's really not. And this is why you get a lot of people complaining about, well, I don't want to, we'll start doing all of this stuff. We'll start scanning this stuff in the next episode. Now, let me finish my point, and then we'll end the episode. Your video game is not the center of our world. It's just not. And if you're designing your game in a way that's intended to force us to spend exorbitant amounts of time in it to get anything done, then you're not respecting our time, and this is why people complain about your game. At the same time, those of you who are putting out games with the intent that you're so focused on the money that you are sacrificing the quality of things, and you're rushing things out so that you can make your money, you're just pissing people off, and they're not going to want to play your game either. Now, do I know for sure that Star Trucker was rushed into publication because they really wanted the money or they needed the money or whatever it is? No. I don't know that. That's just a feeling I have based off of my experience with the game so far. But it bothers me that developers treat us this way. And then they have the gall to be upset that the players get mad at them for putting out this stuff. And it's like, you do this to yourself. You do this to yourself. Stop putting out crap, and people will stop complaining about your stuff. It's just the way it works. Like, people complain to me about the things that I say on this channel because I complain about things, and, I try to take that to heart, and I try not to belabor things too much, and I try to put a product out there that is hopefully interesting to watch, and I generally try to be cognizant of the overall quality of whatever it is that I'm doing. I've also set a maximum amount of effort that I'm willing to put into all of this. So, there comes a point where it's just like we're not doing any more than what I'm already doing. But what I can change, I do change, and I try to do a good job of that. Too many developers have gotten into this idea that we know what's best because we're the developers. No, you're people and you make mistakes just like everybody else. And frankly, what you want out of your product doesn't mean a damn thing. If nobody's going to buy it, then all the work you put into it was for nothing. So keep that in mind. Anyways, no developer is going to watch this video. No developer cares about what some dude with minimum with 15-ish, or I don't even know how, 1,600, almost 1,600 subscribers, and very little influence as far as YouTube goes. They don't care about what I have to say. So I just spent the last half hour ranting about something that's not going to make a difference, but I feel better because I got it off my chest. So hopefully some of you enjoyed listening to me rant about it. Anyways, we're going to go ahead and end the episode here. Click the like button to push the video out to more people. Subscribe to the channel to help us reach 10,000 subscribers. Join the channel as a member if you'd like to support our work here. Or you can just leave YouTube's version of a tip with the thanks button. Thank you very much for joining us for this episode of Elite Dangerous out in deep space with the carrier. Be sure to come back for the next episode, and I'll see you then.